Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Coco, and today we are doing one of my favorite things, which is ranting about books that I do not like. If you don't like negativity in book reviews, I suggest clicking off now. However, this is just going to be all the books that I read to completion, unfortunately, this year and just did not enjoy, or the authors are actively my enemy now. So, I apologize if these are some of your favorite books. Everyone can have different tastes. However, some of these are so problematic that I don't think they should be your favorite books. So let's just jump in and go ahead and get started, shall we? The first book is the one that I read earliest in the year, which unfortunately has stuck in my mind and I occasionally still get angry about, just in general, and that is Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. In my storygraph review, I said that Hannah Grace owes me money for this garbage, which I still stand by. That woman owes me some damages for what she made me deal with. The plot was so overdone and yet also boring at the same time. It's about two college students. One of them is an ice skater and one of them is a hockey player, and something happens with the hockey team and the ice skaters, and then they have to end up using the same rink and they get pushed together like forced proximity style. I think Stassi is the name of the female main character. I really honestly don't remember the male main character's name because he is so unremarkable. But everyone just felt like a caricature of what their character should be. It felt forced, the writing was unnatural, there was way too much smut. I am no stranger to smut in a book. I enjoy it once in a while. I think that it needs to be used like salt, sparingly. Like, it can add a lot of flavor to a book, but if you use too much of it, it just ruins the entire thing. And that's what I feel like the smut in here did. The side characters that were supposed to be like the found family, the friends of the two main characters, you could tell that the author was just gearing up to write books about them too, which I have looked it up. They do have their own books in the series. If you hear my washer doing its spin cycle, I'm so sorry. But the premise was bad. The writing was horrible. I was bored halfway through. The characters were obnoxious. And this was absolutely a 1 star for me. I don't know for sure if it's the worst book I read this year, probably, but none of these books on this list, it's not like ranked at all. So the next book that I want to talk about is one that's just objectively bad, and I don't think anybody should read this book, and that is Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak, I think is how you say his name. This book is supposed to be some sort of thriller, and it's about this woman who becomes a nanny. There's these pictures that keep getting drawn and they're creepy. It's like someone's in the ground, mommy's in the ground, etc. But she tries recording and can't figure out who is drawing these pictures because supposedly the little boy is not. And something really weird is going on in the house, the dad's creepy, etc. It sounded like a really good setup for a book that I might like. Unfortunately, and this does have some spoilers within it, there was some sort of paranormal aspect of it that was done poorly. And then the biggest thing is that this is just a huge, like, wouldn't even call it a dog whistle for transphobia and just right-wing talking points. I would just say that's what it is. A very strange book, not in a good way. It felt very problematic, and it felt like the author was just trying to have like a means to an end of the point that he wanted to make, which ended up being a very transphobic, weird point. That's a 1 star. I don't think anybody should read this, and I think the author should be ashamed of himself. So we're gonna hop over to romantasy for a moment, and unfortunately a book that I kind of hyped up in my mind for some strange reason that I ended up hating was Quicksilver by Kelly Hart. This is a 500 or 600 page romantasy book about a woman who, gasp, surprisingly is very, very poor, and gasp, has these powers that she had no idea about, and ends up in this other world with these fae, and she has to survive, and she hates the male main character, and he hates her, and but they love each other, but they hate each other, but she's the chosen one, and it's nothing new. There's Quicksilver, which she can control. It's kind of like, it's just like molten silver, some sort of molten silver. And of course our male main character has some silver in his eye that spins when he sees her. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But Saris as a main character, she is incredibly annoying. She hates the male main character at the beginning for absolutely no reason, especially because he saved her life. And the biggest issue that I had with this book is that Kelly Hart decided towards like halfway into the book to like 2/3 into the book that every single plot point she thought about doing in this book, every twist that she wanted to put, she put them all in at the same time. and just said, here's the book. We're not going to edit. We're not going to take a couple of these and roll with it. No. No, that's just the book. So, the magic system's horrible. The main character is annoying. It's a typical chosen one trope. And I couldn't stand any of the characters. So, if you like Quicksilver, which a lot of people do and I hate it, I'm so sorry. But I don't get it. I do not get it whatsoever. But again, like I said, this is merely my own opinion. So take what I say with a grain of salt. I just, as someone who's been reading fantasy books and fantasy that has romance in it since I was a wee child, it was nothing new and the writing was bad. And that's pretty much all I have to say about that. And yes, all of these are 1 star, obviously. I have 2 more left that I want to talk about, specifically in just the... So I went into this one knowing I might not like it. I wanted to read it for Summerween. I needed to pad my TBR a little bit, and I was hoping that maybe it would be a surprise and I'd like it a lot. Unfortunately, that was not the case. So Graveyard Shift by ML Rio is a novella that has to do with all of these people that gather around in this graveyard, hence Graveyard Shift. At like 3 in the morning, they have different jobs that cause them to be up late, and they all smoke at the same time and talk about things. One day, a grave in this very, 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 very old cemetery is freshly dug, and no one can understand why, and they're all trying to figure it out. The issue that I have with this is that it may have been okay if this was an actual novel-length book that we're able to hash out the characters and, you know, really expand everything and get into what they've been doing in this college town, why they do the things that they do, how they ended up in the job that they were in, etc. Everything is so compressed and so squished. It's like, I don't have enough time to care about these characters or even care what's going on with this graveyard. Like, I don't care. Okay, it opened up, there's some random stuff in it. Okay, and then the end is just so incredibly abrupt. It's just handed to us without any sort of foreshadowing to what the ending would be. It's just handed to us. They could have said flying purple elephants came out of the grave and just like scattered rose petals everywhere, and I'd have to accept it because the author did no legwork at the beginning of it to make it seem like the thing that happened was the thing that was possibly going to happen. It's just like, oh, well, this happened. What? What? So it was just incredibly frustrating. I wanted it to be good. The only other experience I've had with ML Rio is DNFing If We Were Villains because I found the characters and the Shakespearean plays that they were doing obnoxious. I don't mind Shakespeare. Well, it depends on the Shakespeare play. But the pretentiousness was too much for me, and Graveyard Shift is no different. That it just doesn't, it didn't hit. It didn't make sense to me at all. So unfortunately, I did not like that. This one was the only one that wasn't truly a 1 star. I gave this 1.5. Although looking back, I might go back and possibly put it at a 1 star. And that is I Got Abducted by Aliens and Now I'm Trapped in a Romcom by Kimberly Lemming. This is supposed to be some sort of alien smut. Some weird, I don't even know how to explain it. This woman gets abducted by aliens and she ends up on this world and has to mate with these weird other alien guys from a different planet, but somehow everything's compatible and they're mates. It's like a why choose between 2 aliens and her. The issue that I have with this is that I have a lot of issues with it. The whole thing didn't make sense. It was very strange, and I felt like I was in a fever dream and not in a good way. It wasn't like a Gideon the Ninth style fever dream. It was a what is happening? I'm on a bad acid trip fever dream. I don't know, it was not good. The world building was nearly non-existent. The physics and everything didn't make sense. The reasoning that some of the characters had behind doing what they were doing didn't make sense. There was the question of like, they're being researched by these other people, but they're also sentient as well. And I'm like, how is this ethical? I couldn't suspend my disbelief enough because there's so many things that were just poking holes in the story that I was constantly taken out of it. And I wanted it to be just a fun, silly little book like Kimberly Lemming's other book that I read was That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon, which I gave it like a 3.5, I think, for that book. It wasn't like the writing was absolutely incredible, but it did what I needed at the time. This did not. This was horrible. This was stupid. I probably wouldn't have finished it if I hadn't been like cleaning the house that we were moving out of and listening to it on audio. I'm so glad I did not pay for this book. I got it from the Libro FM like ALC program, and I'm so glad I did not buy this book. Suggest it even for like a fun, silly, smutty romance. It was not romantic. It wasn't fun. I felt like it didn't have any sort of balance, and I don't even really remember the story. That's how bad it was. And then last but not least, for the worst books that I read this year is another short novella that, again, I read for Summerween. This is a series, I think it's just actually 3 short stories all put together, and that is An Elderly Lady is Up to No Good by Helene Turnston. This is what I thought would be like a good for her like group of stories, kind of akin to The Eyes Are the Best Part or something to that effect, where it's an unhinged older woman doing these things. She's a criminal, she does these things without any care, and she's old, so it doesn't matter because even if they catch her, she's gonna just play dumb. It might be one of the most egregious depictions of internalized misogyny I've read in a long time, because the old woman, spoiler alert, tends to target younger women that don't fit the mold of what she thinks femininity should be. The reasoning that she had for the things she did were gross and shoddy, and like it wasn't like it was well deserved. I don't like violence in books that has no purpose. I don't like violence in books that is done towards marginalized people. Like, it happens several times in this very, very short group of short stories, which I don't understand. Like, I listened to this mostly on audio, and I caught myself making a stink face at what the narrator was saying. This poor narrator probably is like, I don't know, I'm just reading it, don't shoot the messenger. But it was just internalized misogyny and classism and just gross behavior towards other women, and I didn't think it was cute. I didn't think it was fun. The old lady main character was not likable whatsoever, though some of the people that she did horrible things to deserved it. The way that she, like, her internal monologue about the women that she interacted with, I'm like, you're just like bitter and gross and annoying, and I don't like you. Like, what are we doing here? I would definitely avoid that one. It looks cute. It looks like cross stitch on the cover, and I'm like, oh, this is fine. It'll be fun. It'll be like a little silly book. No. Nope. So, luckily, I don't have a huge list of 1 stars. I think that's all the 1 stars that I had in 2025. So this is hopefully maybe a little bit shorter of a video. I would love for my video on the books that I loved in 2025 to be much longer, and I think it probably will be. I hope you made it to the end of this video. If you enjoyed being a hater with me, please make sure you subscribe and check out some of my other videos. I have a little bit of a backlog of them. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope 2026 treats all of us very, very well. Much better than 2025 treated us. See you very, very soon. Bye.